A new day, a new week, a new year, 2016. Are you excited? I hope you are. I am, because it means that we have a new beginning. We can do some of the things that we need to do, and we have a reason to say, okay, I'm going to make the change. And I hope you've made the change in a way that saves you money, that takes advantage of programming that's out there, that makes you an educated consumer. That's the whole idea of the program here, to help you with the answers to those things that affect your home, your family, and your finances. And we're always searching for ways to make sure that what you hear on this program will work to your advantage, that at the end of the day, quote unquote, you will know more than you knew when it started, and you will know things that will make a difference in your life, in your financial life service. We're going to talk about a collaboration between, of all things, the American Library Association and NFCC. A wonderful collaboration. We'll explain that. But right now we're going to get started with Bruce McClary, who is Vice President of Communications, who had the chutzpah to send over to me the information on a new program that they just started. And I'm very excited because we're kind of breaking this to the audience. Bruce, welcome to Home and Family Finance. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, Paul. It's great to be here, and great to be talking about such a very important issue, critical issue for a lot of people, student loan debt.
It is. It is a tremendous topic because of what we're talking about in terms of debt. When you look at the numbers, 43 million total student borrowers, 7.3 million are at least 90 days delinquent. The total loan debt is above $1.3 trillion. This could collapse things that happen in this country. I mean, how did we get here? And where do you see the role of NFCC in this?
Well, it hasn't been a fast track to this sizable amount of student loan debt, but you can see by the numbers, some of the estimates say that the debt is growing at a rate of $3,000 per second. Now, just sit back and take a moment to imagine that and what impact that's having on the student borrowers, on their parents. It doesn't just stop at the student, and a lot of people are in debt because the expense of a college education has grown significantly over the years. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have limited access to some of the scholarships, to the grants, to some of the other funding, and in many cases, a lot of people just aren't aware that some of the resources are out there that can defer the cost. So people are depending more and more on student loans, whether they're federal or private student loans. And so the amount that people are borrowing has just grown out of proportion, and a lot of people throw the term crisis around. Well, it is a crisis. It's impacting people's ability to do the things that they need to do early in their adult lives. Many of the people coming out of college that are burdened with so much of this student loan debt are unable to buy their first home, to buy a car, even to afford the basics of life. When they should be setting aside money for savings, for financial security as they reach retirement, but also to handle emergencies. So it's really, student loan debt is a significant impediment for the personal financial well-being of many young Americans.
There's no greater burden on us than financial burdens when we have them, especially on young people. And yet, we I don't want to think badly of how we got here. But why would we expect that our young people, 43 million, those who come out of college, who ought to be feeling free and easy and excited about being, and instead they're looking over their shoulder at $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in debt, and they don't even have a job? This can't be healthy. And that's why NFCC says they have to be properly counseled, right?
Exactly. I mean, this was the seriousness and the size and the scope of this debt and what it's doing to our economy and what it's doing to our young consumers. That was our motivation at the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, to take action and take action as quickly as possible. Now, we put together this program, this National Student Loan Counseling Program, which just launched, as a way to connect these millennials, these consumers, the college graduates, not just undergraduates, but also graduate school students as well, which have a very sizable amount of debt, to connect them with the solutions that can help them manage the debt effectively and get control of their finances.
When we come back, we're going to let you know a little bit more about what NFCC really is and how you can reach out to them and how they can be of help to you, what you can expect. This is Home and Family Finance. I'm your host, Paul Berry, here on the Radio America Network. I'm excited to be with you. I hope you're excited to hear what we have to say to you. We'll be right back with more. Right now, let me turn my attention to Tim Maurer, who has written the book Simple Money. He comes to us now from Charleston, South Carolina. He is the father of 2 boys. He plays drums. He does all that kind of stuff, but he also writes what I think is a fantastic book. Tim, thanks for joining me here on Home and Family Finance.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Why'd you write the book? What did you see? What did you know? What were you trying to do with this book?
Well, I'll tell you, Paul, you know this better than most. There's an awful lot of information out there regarding personal finance. Even in books, it's a genre that is generally overcrowded. But one of the things that I've seen throughout my research, especially in the last 5 years, is that the vast majority of the information out there regarding personal finance doesn't necessarily follow the most updated science. And what I mean by that is the science of motivation has told us, has confirmed that the carrot and stick methodology of motivating people is not actually the optimal strategy. In fact, it was decades ago that it was effectively disproven as the most effective form of motivation. What I saw was that there was an awful lot of information out there about what to do. There are a million people that want to tell you what to do with your money, and there are a number of folks who are then capable of telling you how to do that. But what people have missed is why. And without truly understanding why we should do what we're doing and how we should do it, we have a disconnect between the recommendations and the edicts that people give and us actually following through on those actions. What we need, and what I felt was needed, and the reason I wrote Simple Money, is we need somebody to focus more on why we should do what we should do with our money. And I do believe that the right actions follow when we are properly motivated.
So, and that explains, I think, why in the first chapter you go directly to the practicality of discussing the concept of what is enough in your life. Why do I need to do this? And I think that's your suggestion seems to be that understanding what is enough is the why, and you've got to get there before you can get anything and make any sense out of whatever else you do.
You're absolutely right, Paul. Here's the issue. Enough is not a number. And I think we have a tendency to always think, well, if I just had this much more, then I would be satisfied. But what I find, and having worked with clients for now about 18 years, what I find is that number is forever moving. What I mean by that is as soon as somebody gets to the number that at one point in life they thought would be enough, then that number seems to be moving again. And so when it comes to this concept of enough, it really is a challenge to get a hold of it because it's not quite tangible. We can't really tell people that when you get to this number, when you've saved this much in your emergency reserves, when you've saved this much in your retirement accounts, when you've eliminated all your debt, then I can guarantee you will feel enough. Enough is a relative term, and therefore what I find is that I know people with millions of dollars.
And it's not enough. Simple Money, a no-nonsense guide to personal finance. My guest, Tim Maurer. You've heard him. I think you're going to hear more from him. You want to hear more from him. I know you do. He'll be right back as we continue to discuss his new book and we educate you on being a responsible financial manager. This is Home and Family Finance. I'm Paul Berry.